Hello, good evening, and welcome. My name is Mike Moritz, and the name of this presentation is Ranking the Songs of the Eurovision Song Contest 2026, open brackets, an opinionated guide, close brackets. Well, what a wacky year this ended up being. After the semi-finals, I thought my main take-home was going to be how the contest was dominated by a dark-sounding, heavily emotional pieces with an overabundance of dark themes and topic matters. And then the final happened, and then Bulgaria won with a highly choreographed dance piece about a message of it being okay to riot. And then Italy came fifth with an extremely dated disco song about love and marriage, and Moldova came eighth with a pump-up party anthem about their nation's emergence into the Eurozone. Not that Eurovision is political. I guess the take-home is that, yeah, we're all feeling a kind of away at the moment, but we can all appreciate a little bit of hope. And grants to Bulgaria, by the way. Ever since Nine Art in 2011, I've thought that they didn't get their flowers enough, especially with the circumstances of their second place in 2017. I'll get to that in a future video. And considering that all three of the returning countries, Bulgaria, Romania, and Moldova, all led the scoreboard at one point in the night, I think they somehow managed to pull a good contest out of an otherwise politically fraught mess of a situation, with 5 countries pulling out, making it the largest boycott since 1970. I won't get into that mess in this video, but I'm calling this the WrestleMania 31 of Eurovision. It looked like it was going to be a disaster, but ended up being pretty good, all things considered. And with a first-time winner and first jury televote consensus since 2017, which was the last first-time winner in Portugal, this is the first time since they introduced the new slogan that the contest is actually felt in some way united by music. Even if we lost Spain, Slovenia, the Netherlands, Ireland, and Iceland along the way. Those first two hurt, let me tell you. Alright, so if this is not a political discussion, then what is this video? This presentation will consist of all 35 songs ranked relative to the other songs in the contest from my least favourite to my most favourite. The rankings are based on how much I generally want to listen to a song, or how much I generally recommend that you listen to the song. These rankings are influenced by things like my genre preference, quality of music, quality of songwriting, and stage performance. A bad song that is interesting will generally rank higher than a technically proficient song that I find boring. The top 10 will all get points as per the traditional 12, 10, and then 8 through 1 system. This allows me to track country trends over time, which I do over all the contests and in their respective decades. You'll see what I mean at the end. Australia is competing this year, and as per Eurovision rules, you cannot vote for your own country, so it will be excused from the rankings, but I will place it where it would be relative to the other songs in this list. Anyway, with no further ado and even less political posturing, shall we dance? It's the Eurovision Song Contest, Vienna, 2026. Dishonourable mention. Interval act, opposites. This is not a place of honour. No good deed is commemorated here. Cultural cringe is a big thing in the Australian psyche, and this is just horrid. It's the absolute worst part of the 2014 semi-final 2 interval act. That's everything before Sea of Flags. But instead of the rousing multicultural anthem sung by Jess Malboy, we have 2 of the worst hosts in the contest history that I can remember, and Gojo, and they're lip-syncing. Now, I get it. Gojo is not necessarily the most impressive singer, and he has to support 2 people who, as far as I know, a Nepo baby and a man whose entire vibe is you can only host Eurovision if you bring your little brother along. I know they're not actually related, but which I suppose is good, because then he'd be an even more egregious Nepo baby. So no chemistry, not talented singers being carried by Gojo, who can't even use his scruffy charisma because he's lip-syncing, singing the most tired and cringeworthy lyrics, falling back on even more tired and boring, quote, jokes, unquote. and then that keeps happening for around about 6 minutes. I feel like it's aiming for Swedish Smorgasbord or Made in Switzerland from last year, but it ends up falling with the awkward stage presence of the hosts from 2017 and the weird cultural stereotyping from 2014. The word interminable comes to mind, ripping my throat, twisting my toes, and pounding my ears into the dashboards. In the name of God, let it end. Number 34 is Belgium. And in comparison, this song just sounds bad. How this qualified, I have no idea, but the 0 points from the televote in the final justifies my hate. I'm developing a new rule here. If a song causes me to flinch from the notes that you're singing, or at least attempting to sing, you will end up on the bottom. I won't lie, but I'm not royal. Call me queen, but you're not royal. Like, bad writing is bad, but I swear she is off in the final. And listening to that at 5 a.m. is cruel and unusual punishment. It's like they thought if they made strobe lights a girl bop, it would help them qualify. I mean, it did. But at what cost, Belgium? At what cost? Number 33, Luxembourg. Well, how the mighty have fallen. I started this show last year with a 12 points to Luxembourg, and over the first 4 contests I reviewed that had Luxembourg in it, they got 2 first places, a 2nd place, and a 6th place. Turns out they're just human like any other country. I think my issue here is her voice. Eva has a really unique voice, and it doesn't work for me with this soaring environmental piece that almost calls for a softer performance. Her pronunciation is very clear and precise. And it just brings the weak chorus into sharp relief. Mother Nature, she knows, is a weak hook, and the song can't do anything to save it. Not that being a weak song is a death sentence. You give this to, say, Delta Goodrum, and I think it could really be something. Number 32, France. At this point, I should just make a stamp that says, sorry, Mike does not like most opera, because this keeps happening. It's definitely more musically interesting than our boy Ingvar, but I'd watched the old stunned mullet 1,000 times before I'll be able to lock in with this arguably impressive showcase of sight and sound. Look, there's nothing wrong here. I just don't like it. If only someone could combine operatic chops with another musical genre like metal. Number 31, Poland. I love the staging here. The combination of the slope and the dancing and the clever camera angles lead to some actually really great visuals. If the song was actually about needing to pray because you're struggling uphill, that might be apropos, but as it is, it's just some nifty staging that is outdone by a new paradigm in choreo elsewhere in the show. We'll get to it. Not usually a fan of religion in my Eurovision. There is a song steeped in religious tradition later in the list that... Actually, is my issue with Poland that it fails to impress comparatively? Like, everything I think it succeeds at, someone else does better. Diva-style belting, better elsewhere. Rap-inflected lyrics, better elsewhere. Impressive staging and choreo, better elsewhere. Like, it's all good. Like, this isn't bad. It's just better elsewhere. In a vacuum, this is fine. But we're not in a vacuum. Number 30, Crossroads from Czechia. No, I'm not docking it for the camera glitch. In fact, I think that the EBU will do a cheeky and remove it from the full YouTube show. Like they did with the UK stage invasion back in 2018. I actually had to get onto SBS on demand and get the live stream in order to get a screen cap of the actual glitch. As for the song, this is actually one of my friend's favorites. She'll be in the comments. Hi there. As for me, it lacks the punch that I need from a piece like this. Like a bolder vocal, or maybe a punchier hook, something grander in the staging. As it is, this is a solid mood piece, but it feels more like gently soaring through the grey clouds above the rain, rather than, punching through the clouds and blinding yourself in the sun. You'd think the crescendo at the end would be that, but it, to me, feels like obligatory showboating, because, you gotta go up at the end for the juries. So, a good mood, but not a good song for me. Number 29, Albania. Oh, excuse me. This year, Albania has sent a deeply emotional and very dramatic piece. While the staging isn't the most opulent or complicated, it manages to convey the core of the piece through its lighting and staging in a way that other acts this year should be taking notes from. As for the song itself, while it's not my personal preference, I cannot deny the technical proficiency on display, and to criticize would seem inordinately cruel. I admire the theatre of the piece, and cannot deny it is effective at relaying its message and emotion. However, my own personal preferences leave me a little cold. There, that's basically every Albanian entry I can think of, bar maybe 3. There's not much I can add here. I like that subtitles are becoming more acceptable, but it still hurts that Constructor was denied full subtitles when Alice and Lucio had them hard-coded all the way through. This may be my Waterloo, where I will have you know Napoleon did not surrender. I don't know, this is just Albanian. Number 28 is Latvia. Draft a letter to the drowned men of the Seine. This song is depressing. Not just sad, not melancholic, this is heartbreakingly depressing. I try to pick the screenshots to represent something emblematic of the song, and I can't sum it up better than Advara singing in darkness while her shadow is a little girl and a giant whiskey glass looms behind her. Every frame a painting. I'm actually glad this didn't qualify from the semis. I'm not sure I could have handled it again, especially if it was between, say, like Greece and Bulgaria. I think my neck would break from the whiplash. When I talk about this year being dark, this is the stuff I'm talking about. This song breaks the scale in terms of artistic expression, but it's not what I'm ranking here. I'm ranking how much I enjoy the songs, how much I want to revisit the songs. And with this one, I don't. Number 27, Azerbaijan. I wonder if the Azerbaijani delegation thought that they needed to go back to the well. After half a decade of dance bangers, indie rock, and whatever the hell 2024 was, we have a gorgeously attractive Azeri singing a classic power ballad with simplistic but symbolic staging. It's the 2010s again! I don't really have a lot to say beyond that. The staging is embarrassing. It's a few cheap frames from Kmart and some drapes. Compared with what we have coming up in the show, this is laughable. Some dancers would fill out the stage, but would also take away from the "I'm breaking free from you, asshole in a fedora" messaging of the staging, which actually really works for me. I'm not writing letters home about this one, but it doesn't embarrass itself. Number 26 is Malta. Maltese! We got Maltese at Eurovision. Do you have any idea how rare that is? So, fun fact, I did something that I rarely do this year, and I actually watched the odds, the betting odds. Now, I know for a fact that the odds on winner is never the actual winner. So I had my favorite that I wanted to win, and then I was trying to pick what the actual winner would be because I knew it would be something that, wasn't obvious. And the last contest that I'd actually watched was 2005. We'll get to it, where a ballad from Malta actually came second. And so after I saw a couple of juries starting to give Aiden some points, I thought that Malta was going to come through with the win. Now, my logic was completely sound. I just had the wrong country. And it turns out that Malta just didn't have the steam, which is a pity because Bella is really pretty. It's a little boring, sure, but being Maltese gives it that kind of Italian but not charm, and makes it sound kind of a little unique than what we normally get. The gazebo staging is nice, and Aiden sings just really well, but at the end of the day, I think that the lack of drama in the piece hurts it the most. It just doesn't have the staying power of, say, Amar pelos Deutsch. Number 25, Portugal. And Portugal continues their tradition of not giving a damn what anyone else thinks and just sending music that they like. Now, luckily, their national final this year was won by one of the 3 of 16 acts who said they would actually go to Eurovision if they won. But Eurovision totally isn't political, you guys. Now, the Bandidos, I am informed, are predominantly an a cappella group, and I can really hear that. I'm not entirely sure that the instrumentation was needed. Imagine 3 minutes of a cappella, not even with the beatboxing, like in Belgium's 2011 a cappella entry, just 5 beautiful Portuguese harmonies. But they didn't do that, and I must judge what they actually sent, which, while nice, does not hit quite as hard as other entries. Grito from 2024 is one that comes to mind. Maybe they were chasing the vibe of like 2025's viral hit Deslocado, but I don't hear it myself. This just feels like Portugal doing what it always does. 24 is Ukraine singing Rydnym Leleka, kicking off with imagery of green turning to rust. Ukraine has sent us this year a song of perseverance in the hope of a day with trees growing taller and a brighter day for their kin. Yeah, I actually have a template now. They're not being subtle, are they? My issue with this one mainly is... Look, I just feel like Leleka is a little weak as a vocalist. Her fey tones, they really work on the album when I'm listening with my noise cancelling headphones in, and it's a much more intimate listen. And that performance really accentuates almost a sense of vulnerability. But on the stage, it's kind of lacking. You need someone with a little bit more stage presence. I give this to someone like, say, Delta Goodrum, and she could really make it powerful. Number 23 is Israel. Now, breaking with the past few years, Israel has sent something I'm pretty sure counts as pop. Now, Michelle is a song about a man, apparently inspired by Noam himself, who is in a bad relationship. Let's call it toxic. Now, he wants to engage with Michelle to have conversation with her, but all he gets in return is shadows. From his perspective, he is open, sharing, and friendly. And in return, all he gets is undeserved dismissal and hatred. He still desires the relationship, but struggles to see any emotional value in it. Hold on. Look, Michelle is the best song that Israel has sent since 2021, which I think is supported by the solid jury and televote support alike. Noam sings well in Hebrew, French, and English, sounding great in all of them. I love how he says carousel, like that. Every time he sings that, I'm just like, ooh, that's nice. And I love me some Hebrew at Eurovision, but in aiming for mass appeal, they kind of left me feeling a bit cold. I'd rather listen to Time from 2012. Number 22 is Solo Quiero Mas from Lithuania. This one is about a robot discovering emotions. Okay. No, but seriously, when I first saw this, I thought, Denis Villeneuve's Eurovision. But like, the more that sat with me, it kind of is. Like, the cinematography of the piece evokes his work, especially his Dune movies. But like, the thematic focus on humanity and human emotions when pushed to test them, that feels very Villeneuve. It's definitely a thinking man's Eurovision entry. Brings us back more towards directly confronting darker topic matter. In this case, a desire for more rewarding emotional interaction in a world that seems intent on dividing us. It seems a shame that he never quite nailed his performance in either of the broadcasts, because on the album, this is really quite a transcendent piece. Number 21, Greece. So when I realized that Achilles was young enough to have been a child when Greece was plunged into its historic recession, that was difficult for me to say. This song hit me like a train. If you weren't there, like, it got so bad they were talking about leaving the euro and bringing back the drachma. Like, it was as bad as that. So this quirky piece that seemingly just like lists all the stuff he wished he had when he was a kid, but now he wishes he could give to his mother now that he's a fan favorite at Eurovision. It's like, it's chasing that Cardia and Tommy Cash vibe. It's definitely the weakest of the, quirky but surprisingly deep dance bangers we've had over the past couple of years. But that bridge with the confession to his mum, that hits the spot. Number 20, Tanzschein from Austria. He's not wrong, I mean, I established in the first episode of this series that I don't do the clubbings. But I am led to believe that there are indeed steroid-injecting bootheads that are a disgrace to their gender, their species, and the very concept of sapient life. Predatory animals who terrorize nightclubs, who give chemical castration a good case as a punishment. I wouldn't know. The last time I went to a club might have been around the time that Cosmo was born. But yeah, this is alright. The rhythm is solid, and German sounds great with electronica and club music. It's nowhere near the absolute slam dunk that Ballo was in 2025, but it does what you want from a host country entry. It's solid and doesn't embarrass itself. Number 19, Bulgaria. Okay. I need a drink after this one, because we're talking about the winner in the bottom half. But it's still the bottom half. Now, before you accuse me of being of not listening to fresh, new music, I mean, I am but hear me out. My issues with Bungaranga as a song are the same that I had with Unicorn in 2023. It's not cohesive. This is a song-shaped framework for dance beats and ethnic rhythms. It's hook after hook, but it's not crafted together well. It's not designed for listening to a song like you would listen to a song how I did, or I do. It is ideally suited for, yes, I'm about to say it, TikTok. Hello, children, I am Unk. Listening to this in any other venue than a dance floor or a party, or yes, TikTok, is, I feel, grounds for being returned to the store as not fit for purpose. So, do I think this should have won? Hell yes. Dara's not my favorite, but her and her dance team are my winners. Loud and proud next year in Sofia. Or Plovdiv or Varna or Burgos. Probably Sofia. The thing you need to understand is that Eurovision thrives as a visual medium. Bad visuals can tank a good song. I'm looking at you, Serbia 2013. And good ones can elevate. I'm thinking of the camera work from Austria 1965. Although, like, the good camera work, I feel like there's this moment where it just gets kind of all wet and blurry, although I'm advised that that is just my copy of that song. The actual staging for Bungaranga is what the girl bops of the last decade were missing. The choreo is as tight as Fuego or Slow-Mo, but placing it in a boring office space gives it a sense of space and setting that those two were just kind of missing on an open stage. We called it when someone spikes the water cooler with acid at the training retreat. And the production design and the camera work is so good too. The dancers, like, they start off with these masks, like the rag doll from Pink Floyd The Wall got a drag makeover. And like, how many times did you watch before you realized that they weren't actually on a rotating platform and that was the video floor? And what they'd done is they would locked the camera to a rotating set and were moving the set around the dancers. Like, the visuals elevate the piece. This is why no one had it in the odds until we saw the final version in the semi-final, in which case everyone started. And then it ended up before the grand final as a third favorite. Like, as a song, it's just whatever, but as a total package, hell yeah. Like, I hope this sets a new benchmark in staging, like Euphoria in 2012 or Heroes in 2015. Like, if delegations learn the right lessons from this, we have some killer TV in the years to come. And still, only 19th. Number 18. Cyprus. I have nowhere near as much to say about Jala. The staging evokes 2012, but they've got an actual table now with like plates and everything. Like, this is everything that people criticize the girl bop subgenre for. Shallow lyrics, focus on dancing, shaking, singing, but you know, there's a time and place for this, and context matters. You wouldn't play, I don't know, Pull Me Under at a Catholic funeral, nor Eagle's Wings at a Dream Theater concert. Like, I like this one more than Bangaranga just because it's a more recognizable song. I have to be in a mindset to listen to Bulgaria, but mediocre dance pop, I can have it on the background at any time. This is fine. Number 17. Georgia. Georgia is the unhinged mountain man equivalent of Portugal or Belgium in Eurovision. They'll wander into your house, compliment your wainscoting, drop a dead pigeon on your sideboard, switch all the bottle caps on your soft drink bottles, and then wait for applause. You never know what they're going to do, but it's always something. Apparently this group won Junior Eurovision, where I'm told Georgia is a powerhouse, and yeah, I get it. Give these guys a kids show. They'll have great energy, and the kids would tire themselves out on the relentless hype and fall asleep on the lounge room floor like a dead bumblebee. On replay is a bit frenetic for a casual listen, but I like the melody and I can snap my fingers to it. It's the best that Georgia has sent since 2022. Number 16 is Montenegro. Yes, please, more of this Montenegro. This is epic, high-level EDM. Little bit of dubstep, little bit of operatic singing. Big old slab of gothic hyperdrama. I have very few notes that aren't just indelicate squeeing. I'm of the opinion that we need more countries in the contest so that we get displays that aren't going to win, but are nevertheless worth making popcorn for. Like, I have no idea what is going on in these 3 minutes, but if you were to tell me it's witchcraft, I would nod politely until my train arrived. One comment I saw, I think on Facebook, possibly Reddit, was that this was a demon summoning, and Serbia, we'll get to it, is what answered. I'm not sure I get that, but it is very feminine fire, and I am highly entertained. As long as they don't spill my blood for the Volturi. Number 15. The United Kingdom. Now, what's funny is how quickly the UK press forgets that they freaking hosted a few years ago. You know, because it doesn't fit their narrative that Sam Ryder nearly won the contest, if not for Ukraine. But, you know, hey, sure, you're going to win with an electro Britpop number in 2026. Like, I quite like Britpop. But my ear does tend more towards Pulp, more than Blur, which is the band that this song reminds me of. It doesn't help that the singer, who is confusingly also named Sam, is less singing the chorus more than yelling in tune with the music. I'm not surprised this didn't do well. Britpop isn't exactly contemporary, and this version of it has an electronic edge that feels a little harsh. And then with the yelled vocals isn't quite accessible. I do actually really vibe with this one, though, especially with its scenes of disenfranchisement with the 9 to 5, but I can't deny it is a harsh listening experience, and a bit more singing and a bit more musicality would smooth its edges considerably. Honourable mention, Australia. Delta Goodrem singing Eclipse. Delta, honey. When two bodies are eclipsing, it means that one is blocking the other. That's what an eclipse is. So, he says, getting his water. This song is garbage. I detected the foul stench of Sweden in these lyrics, and boom, Jonas Mirren, the kind of glurge merchant you'd find in the liner notes of Streisand, Dion, and Menzel. Words that mean nothing but feel right. Typical Sweden. But more power to her, Delta sells the absolute pants off of this crap. That's why I keep bringing her up in this episode. Like, in the balls of my most indie rock teen period, she had me bawling out to Innocent Eyes, which I borrowed from my sister to take when she was out. So, like, Delta is dear to my heart, and many Australians. Not a queen of pop, but definitely a benighted advisor in the court. Many people thought that it was unfair to pull her out to Eurovision, but come on. Eclipse is trash. Excellent sounding trash. Like, that hook is soaring, and when she gets to really lay her soul into it, it's really powerful stuff. It's kind of why I wish she'd cover something like Ridnim, bring that power to something that's like actually meaty, or an older piece like, say, Molitva. She's wasted here. 4th place. She's wasted at 4th place. Number 14, Sweden. Yeah, I'll go into bat for my system. Look, Felicia narrowly avoided being the new Anna Bergendahl. That's the infamous non-qualifier from 2010. And hopefully this gets Sweden to have a good hard look at whatever it's doing up there at Melody Festival. And look, it's an oppressively dark club banger with pop energy, but basically the digivolved version of Strobe Lights from last year. And when I talk about 2026 being a dark year, I don't mean, just the songs about DV or war. I mean that we have a Swedish dance banger that likens an attraction to a systemic infection. 2026 just has this edge. No one is doing well. Number 13 is Germany with Sarah Engels singing Fire. In 2024, I gave Cyprus's Liar 1 point because it was a perfectly inoffensive functional pop song. And that's where we are here. So maybe that tells you something comparative between the two contests. Fire is best described as inessential, a decent dance pop song that improves on silence listened to for the same period of time. Liar rhymes with fire. And Denier. I'm also surprised that they made vampire work in the song. Speaking of vampires, my wife wishes me to advise you all that Sarah is Clan Toreador, and also wishes me to say that this is the best bodysuit in the contest this year, possibly forever. She likes it because it is well fitted and it doesn't look like Sarah is missing her pants. Look, sometimes a song just needs to not embarrass itself for me to do well with me. Yes, I, Michael Moritz, am of course inherently biased to the Deutsche Sphere, which is, why probably contributing to this high rating. But come on, they're like, this is fun. It's not winning any awards, but does it need to? Number 12. Switzerland. You know what we haven't had at Eurovision, at least that I can remember? A murder ballad. We've had a bevy of stalker anthems. Guy from 1965, Alex from 2011. At a stretch, we could throw in Gianluca from 2013, but we've never had a straight-up murder ballad. You know, Alice dies at the end of this song, everyone, and the narrator refuses to take blame. Oh, they'll gaslight and worse, but it's not their fault. Sorry for playing the pronoun game here, but this is an odd one because, like, you see, if you watch the music video, it's clear that the character whose like words we are hearing is male, but Veronica is female and is the one singing the song. And if I've learned anything from my short time on Tumblr, it's that there are a lot of people who love this piece specifically as a psycho lesbian drama. And like, I get it. Like, Veronica sings the hell out of this. It's a killer blues rock groove. The last time I remember any blues rock being on stage was France 2013. That was more of a thumper, and this one's more of just like a groove. And the staging with the ever-growing web of ropes, arguably symbolizing control over Alice, is suitably dark. But yeah, as cool as Veronica is, the narrator is a piece of crap and 100% murder Alice. Yay, Eurovision. Love, love. Peace, peace. Number 11. Estonia. Mum Rock. We have Mum Rock at Eurovision pour out a cheeky shardy and load up the minivan for soccer practice because Vanilla Ninja are here 21 years after they last appeared to prove that they're still cool, damn it. I mean, they are, but I, as previously established, I'm unk, so my opinion on these matters is nullified. I've had a Zoomer tell me and everything. It's official. Look, we'll get to their 2005 entry soon, but suffice it to say, it holds up way better than this instantly dated thing. Look, it's charming, but it's not suited for the Eurovision stage. It's better suited to car karaoke on the way home from the Pink concert. Horribly dated, but so am I. 1 point, my friends, goes to Norway for Jonas Love singing Ya, Ya, Ya. After years of trying, we finally have a successful piece of sleaze rock that follows up Måneskin's 2021 mammoth hit Ziti e Buoni. It took me a while to really place this one, but my wife said it reminded her of Velvet Revolver, which is a band I've not thought about in like 20 years. But yeah, no, I hear it. It's got a good groove, and Jonas is a charismatic frontman who was apparently asked to perform less sexily, which wants me... I want to see the show that was too salacious for the EBU. You know, especially since we just had a murder lesbian and, well, you know, we've got something coming. I like Ya Ya Ya, but look, for context, originally this was my number 6. But as it sat with me, I think the chorus is a bit weak. It needs a stronger hook. It's got good vibes, and the groove is excellent, but the more I listen, the less it sticks with me. So it drops down to number 10. 2 points. I go to San Marino. Senate seems to be living her best life as she gets older, and I love that for her. From the Adequate Standby in 2011, we got the absolute bop. That was Adrenalina in 21, and now Superstar. It's not as great as Adrenalina, but it's high energy and fun and everything I love from the microstate. However, there is an elephant in the room, and the elephant is Boy George. If he were Girl George, I would say, yes, girl, give us nothing. But come on, he has like 4 lines, and they add nothing. The entire staging is set up like this boring old queen will be the second coming, and he musters nothing from the crowd that wasn't there already, and even deflates what vibes there was. I found myself, as I was watching this, like, what if his gender effing rival Pete Burns was still alive? And what would Pete Burns do with this? Like, if he was there, he would lay so much sass into his lines, and if he was calling all the boys freaking insane, like, that would, if not a fact already, be a direct threat that he would then make good on. Like, the wilting energy of Boy George is wasted on this otherwise great track, and even Senate's maximalist aura can't rescue it from this black hole of suckitude. 3 points go to Croatia. I have observed 2 trends over this decade. 1, Croatia is on a consistent run of quality that is matched only by Finland, and two, every year there is at least one song that is tangentially related to local witchcraft or folk practice. So that is Ukraine in 21, and then France, then Lithuania, Ireland, and last year we had Latvia. Now, this year, Croatia does me a favor by combining the two and sending an absolute earthquake that, like... Actually, it's kind of cool. So this isn't witchcraft, and this isn't folk magic. This is an old Croatian Catholic practice. So, like, women would tattoo themselves with the cross so that if and when they were taken by Ottoman soldiers, even if forced to revert to Islam, then their bodies and souls would, like, still belong to God. Let's not get into the theology. I'm just explaining the practice. So, like, if you don't know that this is Croatian Catholic, you can easily think that this is witchy, but there's a lot more going on under the hood here. It's feminine empowerment and, you know, storytelling and identifying yourself as a part of the land itself and, like, saying at the end of it all, your deeds will mark you for who you are, which definitely ties in with my Catholic upbringing. Like, as someone who was turned off by all the religious lyrics in the 1995 contest, not that you know, because I glossed over a lot of them, this one really snuck up on me. I knew it'd be one to watch out for coming into the contest, but wow. And it's also just a strong bit of Balkan balladry. Like, not everything can be Nia Lubav Tsva, but I'd never listened to this for fun. Also, like Burma and Limey from last year. But, like, when I was writing this script, my eyes were damp. So that should be praise enough. 4 points. Go to Moldova. So Moldova back after a year out, like Bulgaria, returning with a solid piece. In this case, it's about how Europe is great and Moldova is ready to join it. Fine. Look, this is even more blatant than the song about the train. Seriously, this whole thing is basically a pitch video for joining the EU. Moldova, a thriving modern nation with a rich cultural history of dance, song, poetry, and film. And banger after banger. After banger after banger after banger after banger. I could go in deep here, but this is the kind of welcome back that Moldova needed. Not falling back on older acts, except for a, supporting vocal from 2013's Aliona Moon. Satoshi has a big energy that basically embodies what Eurovision loves Moldova for. It's bright, it's fun, it's catchy, a little undertone of depth, but never enough to detract from the vibes. Is it an all-time great? Maybe not, but it's a safe top 10 from a much beloved delegation. 5 points go to Serbia. If Montenegro was summoning something, Serbia answered. Hearing metal is always a surprise, but it's usually like a pop song with a hard rock cover over it, like Lordi, or something like Voyage's synth pop prog metal. I don't know if we call this doom metal, but they are definitely screaming from the bowels of their lungs rather than the top of their lungs, and the mic stand is a sword. So my normie white bread, who I sometimes listen to Tool, self is dutifully impressed. And further proof of you that 2026 is the year where no one is okay. The lyrical theme of I love you, but you aren't even here is actually something that I've talked about on this show. Denmark in 2012, my 12 points of that year. An absence so harrowing that she was shouting Inshallah. But the pop gloss of that year's sentiment is replaced by heavy metal and deep sonorous cries of pain and torment. The fact that Kraj Mene not only qualified but performed better than Cyprus, Malta, and even Sweden says a lot about the zeitgeist of 2026. 6 points for Denmark. Forvigar Every year there's like one piece of music that sideswipes me with its beauty. And I just emphatically point at the speaker or the screen whenever it's on. Yes, this. And this year, the absolute best musical moment in the entire contest is the first two lines of the chorus of Denmark's entry. For reference, it's when Soren first grabs the ladder. Excuse me, my tone-deaf bad Danish, but it's like, Kiss me, tag me, hete, kjusne den. Man, please seek the hand after. I'm off there, but da 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 da. You know that bit. If you aren't all dead after my butchering of the Danish language, like after a somewhat middling response in the semi-final, I had this placed fourth. This one really crept up on me. As a darker club track, it's not as poppy as my system. It's a little more downbeat and modest, but the swelling synth textures really work for me. And Soren is a captivating performer who manages to do the impossible and make Danish sound pretty. Keeping this in Danish is inspired. It's close enough to English that I can actually make out bits of the lyrics myself, and the translation is tight enough that it actually fits the meter of the song pretty well too. The lyrics themselves are pretty destructive, keeping in line with 26's darker trend, but it's presented so romantically that I can't condemn them for it. So now, my friends, I must ask the question, what would it take for me to unqualifiedly praise operatic singing at Eurovision? And the answer is 2 words. Alexandra Capitanescu. Or possibly just choke me. Both work. Romania's return to the contest was rightfully praised. Remember their last appearance was with the sleazy Degete in 2023, which I loved on the album but died on the stage without support from the delegation. And here they have thrown everything at Alexandra, and she is a gosh darned queen. Those operatic runs are fantastic, and as a metal vocalist, she just growls and belts like the best of them. Not to keep bringing up Denmark 2012, but the best lyric in that song, Should Have Known Better, is nothing more beautiful than the way you used to breathe me into your lungs and soul. Like, we hear that sentiment again, but this is all Latin and passionate and metal and visceral, you know. All I want is your love. I want you to choke me, love me, make my lungs explode. You know, like my system, this is manifesting love so intense it literally hurts. And yeah, okay, you can read misogyny into the lyrics if you don't actually read the lyrics, or you can, you know, view it as a BDSM anthem, which, well, I mean, born for you to control and you are here to obey me, are you not, are in the lyrics, so I think that case is a little more grounded. Either way, this got more televotes than the Polish pop of Israel. So it's pretty safe to say that this was an unreserved success, earning Alexandra a tie with Romania's best performing entries of 2010 and 2005. A classic. My 8 points go to Armenia. Some surprisingly good writing here. I like how the experience feels lived. Unlike 1, 2, 3, which just talked about how the 9 to 5 was a drag, Paloma Rumba places you inside it with very specific and real references. You know, like free coffee at the seminars and my favorite lyric of the entire year, this meeting could have been an email. It's relatable and a specific kind of writing of a quality that we've not seen from Armenia since 2022's Snap by Rosalind. Like, who even wrote this? Oh, well, there you go. Well, like many people, I love Snap, and while Paloma Rumba is not as good as Snap, it manages to evoke a similar amount of replayability in its themes, maybe lost on the younger bangarangs, but as someone who has served his time in a cubicle, this song feels too real. The frenetic guitars and pounding drums, as well as the escalating tempo at the end, really encapsulates the desperate need to escape a workplace that is actively killing you inside. Too real, man. Like, 2026, it don't mess around. My 10 points go to Italy. If you needed to disprove the claim that Eurovision has been overtaken by the brain rot generation, look no further than the fact that the 5th place was taken by a man in his late 50s singing a lushly produced Italo disco number about how great weddings are. This is not new territory. The very first Eurovision had the Belgian Most Beautiful Day of My Life. So this is one of the most oldest themes in the contest, up there with birds being great and drowning yourself. So, you know what? Sal, weddings are awesome. What is more wonderful than two people being so in love that they just want to be together forever? Per sempre si. And asking their friends and family to set their troubles aside and just spend the day celebrating their love with a nice meal and music and dancing and conversation and the best and dearest company celebrating love. I'm not crying as I'm saying this. Look, the fact that this is an Italo disco style helps too, because this is such wedding music. You would play this at like 10 p.m. in the reception and everyone would fill the floor. Those strings also are just perfect. If you haven't heard the San Remo version with the full orchestra, please do. The brightness of the piano, those strings, Sal getting down and dancing with someone, this is the definitive version for me. And with the crowd singing the whole hook, it is just so joyous. 2026 is a heavy year. But I'm reminded of what Jackson said back in 2009. That even after the world ends, love remains. And my 12 points go to Finland. Of course it was Finland. 3 of the 4 contests I've reviewed in the 2020s have been topped by Finland. They are on a generational turn with banger after banger after banger after banger. And yet, coming out of semi-final 1, Italy was actually my winner. I think Flamethrower, excuse me from using the English name, is a grower, like many of the songs this year. The more time I spend with it, the more I find in it to listen to. This is just peak drama. I love this person, but they act different when we aren't alone, is a safe theme. But being 2026, the presentation, and then Pete, he sings like he's about to break in two. When I was trying to think of why this song works so well for me, I was reminded of a quote. George R.R. Martin speaking after William Faulkner. The only thing worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself. A pretentious reference to make, but it just felt apropos. This is a man confessing as if to God above, possibly even literally with the staging, the sheer amount of emotional torture he is enduring, and the woman doesn't say a word. Constructing this piece as a duet where the female part of this relationship is represented by Linda Lapeños and her virtuosic violin playing and her icy, dominant stage presence is just inspired. No words exist in any language that could embody the emotion that Linda can impart with a look and a few notes on her violin. If I had to criticize this piece, the burning chairs confuse me a bit from a set dressing perspective, but the confession booth of flame and separating the two is such a good set piece. I am mad that I couldn't get a good screen cap, because that image is the song in microcosm. Do I think that Finland was robbed? Yeah, kind of. But when the songs that beat it out were Bulgaria, Israel, Romania, Austria, and Italy, I cannot be mad. 6th place for Europe. But for me, Pete Parkkonen and Linda Lapeños, 12 points. Whew. We did it. Let's decompress with some stats, huh? Let's start with how this affects my songs of the decade. Huh. 4 contests, 4 Finnish flags in the top 26. My top 5 for this year all make it onto the list, with Cry Mene being a bit too, for a certain mood to make it on. But, look, we've got 4 Finnish flags, 2 Czech flags, 2 Croatian flags, 2 Luxembourgish flags, 2 Austrian flags. We need to get rid of some of these double ups. Anyway, very excited to see Italy slide up into second place there. Sal is great. Armenia slides into 12th, with Alexandra for Romania in 13th place. But the big one that surprised me, actually, was the battle for 25th place between Joker Out for Slovenia and Satoshi. But, Satoshi's great, but Carpe Diem from 23 is just a solid piece of rock music. Moving on to the points. That's not the Croatian flag. Finland, Croatia, and Luxembourg dominate the podium, but Italy enters the fray in 6th position. Serbia's 5 points, coupled with Luke Black from 2023, bringing them into 8th position with 9, and Armenia and Romania slide into 10th and 11th place. Denmark's 6 puts them between Azerbaijan and Lithuania. Moldova's 4 ties with Iceland and Ireland, but better averages shifts them higher. And Senhip puts San Marino onto the board with 2 points. Unsurprisingly, Finland's 42 points is becoming unassailable. But if I look through all the contests I have reviewed, Lekenhaten is at 7th place between Greece 1974 and Iceland 2012. Another Nordic violin-led piece. Sal brings disco into 9th position, and the next 3 songs cluster at 23rd through 25th place, just ahead of Mama Che. Now again, we have some double ups here for Finnish flags, the most obvious, so let's remove those. Flamethrower and Before We Go Home are relegated here by Cha 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 and Shoulda Known Better. I am sad to lose Israel 1974 off this list. Great song that. We still have Choke Me and Paloma Rumba there, ahead of Tell Me More. And then in 26th place down the bottom, Cerno y Bello. Thank you, Calliope, for that one there. To the points. Finland's lead expands over to 51 points. Luxembourg's in 2nd place with 35. Croatia up to 5th place with 22, thanks to Lelek, not Laleka. I had the wrong artist in my notes. Italy in 7th place with 19, tied with Denmark, but Italy has a higher consistency in terms of position, which puts it higher than that one there. Serbia in 10th with 17 points. Armenia in a 3-way tie with Yugoslavia and Israel, of all countries, at 8, and Romania in 25th place with 7 points. Now, the big question is Eclipse, the Aussie jury bait song. Where does it rank? It comes in last. This is my least favorite of the Australian entries that I have reviewed. It is not bad. Delta is magnificent, but the writing is so mediocre I would even happily take Gojo's silliness over it, and it is not a patch on promise. So, my bottom 10. Does anything join? Boy, howdy does it. Dancing on the Ice is pretty bad on the album, but the grand final version causes me to literally flinch when Alicia goes for those high notes. And as I said at the start, if I'm in pain, you are in trouble. Whew. Well, look, I wasn't even going to watch Eurovision this year. There's been too much drama. It's not fun anymore. 5 countries dropped out, and as I'm writing this, there's talk that Belgium might drop out next year. They ended up with less delegations this year than when they originally introduced to just a single semi-final. The fandom is full of bots and arguments, and it's all, you suck because you don't like my song, or, worse, you said something I interpreted differently, and that means you're stupid and deserve a bucket of downvotes, and it's just exhausting. And I was going to make a video on Intervision, and I realized that with all the political nonsense around everything, I figured I'd just have no high horse to stand on here. If I hadn't been doing this show, I probably wouldn't have even watched it this year, just because it just seemed like work. And that's kind of borne out with the show itself. Everyone's dealing with stuff. Albania's got the mum thing, Austria's pontificating about social dangers at the club, Armenia and the UK are dying at the office, Ukraine and Israel are being Ukraine and Israel, Latvia's bearing childhood trauma, Switzerland is embodying gaslight and girl boss, Croatia's mourning women lost to Ottoman invaders as if their loss is a blight on their land, Romania and Serbia are sending metal with all the intensity that it includes. It's a lot. And yet, I think the songs are better than last year. In a contest with less songs, there are more songs I think are actually good. Whether or not the contest continues to attract more drama and controversy, I don't know, but this year at least felt like it arrested the spiral for a moment. And with Bulgaria winning and North Macedonia has announced a return, we might be in for a solid future. Also, we've got Eurovision Asia dropping this year, with the Philippines, Thailand, and South Korea all competing. That should be pretty exciting. But now, I feel, as I close the book on another knee, we need to pause and consider. To borrow from Babylon 5, Selah. And at this point, I think we could all do with a little peace. Next episode, Eurovision 1982. Until then, my name's Mike Moritz. Good night and take care.